Now, Prince Harry and his brother, Prince William's relationship is beyond repair and there's no going back. Those quotes are from reports in People magazine.
Yeah, it comes on the day the final season of The Crown hits our screen, controversially covering events leading up to the death of Princess Diana. But what would she have made of her son's fractured relationship if she was still alive?
The rift itself has been the subject of several TV programmes already. The Duke of Sussex addressed the fallout with Prince William during a very frank interview earlier this year with American TV host Stephen Colbert, when he made clear that he believed, without doubt, if his mum had been alive, the divide between him and his brother would not be so great. Oh, that in itself is sad, isn't it? Royal biographer Ingrid Stewart thinks Diana would have allowed and understood the split. But historian and royal commentator Tessa Dunlop says she would have wanted to keep the family together. We're talking about this as The Crown first ep lands, and you've been lucky enough to see the first 4 episodes,
yes,
is that right?
Indeed.
When you watch it and when we see some of the images from it here, does it make you think it would have been different if the mum, Diana, was around?
I was slightly blown away by those first 4 episodes. We all know the story, we know the tragic ending. I was one of Diana's daughters, kind of consuming her my entire young life. And yet there I was, watching in this viewing, suddenly found myself in floods of tears all over again, like our kind of national role in her, the way in which we almost stalked her, didn't we, through every possible media outlet. But what really struck me was actually this tension between Charles and Camilla and Diana. And I started digging around. You know how you do after you've watched something, it brings everything to the surface?
Yeah.
There was an Ipsos poll a week after Diana died. 67% of the nation did not think Charles should be king if he married Camilla. So the question really is, that tension we see now played out, the rivalry, if you like, between Harry and William, I think would have never occurred because of the rivalry that we would have had between Diana and Camilla. Where would she have sat for the coronation ceremony? And potentially between Diana and her eldest son. Because William, by definition, heir to the throne, had to, in the end, lean into monarchy, lean into the establishment. Where would that have left Diana? And it might have been, while a parent always tries to love their children equally, that she felt a kinship, if you like, with her second son, who was never going to become king.
Ingrid, you said that you think that Diana would have let this rift happen. She would have encouraged Harry to go to America, do what he's done?
Well, I don't think she would have necessarily encouraged the rift between the two boys, which was...
But she would have let it happen?
She would have let Harry go to America happily, because that's what Diana wanted to do herself. I mean, I actually talked with her about it. And she was looking through brochures of houses in Malibu and where she might go. And she had this, which I thought was rather crazy idea, that life in America would be easier than because of the paparazzi and the attention than it would have been here. But I think she would have been just as hassled. Anyhow, obviously it didn't happen. But I think she would have been completely behind Harry leaving the royal family, because that's what she did, and that's what Harry wanted to do from quite a young age.
Do you think that she would have if she has still been alive, we're into speculation, of course, aren't we, that she would have got the urge of Harry wanting to do that, but would she have been as equally mistaken in a way? Because you said, you know, she perhaps wouldn't have been left alone. I wonder if Harry feels happier where he is. So that urge to sort of break free of the institution, and in Diana's case, an unhappy marriage, would she have really got that? Or do you think the two of them maybe would have talked and said, actually, it isn't that simple, Harry, son?
Oh, she definitely would have said that, because she used to say, I've no intention of damaging the monarchy, which, of course, she did, because it's my son's inheritance.
Yeah.
But she would have warned Harry that it actually wasn't going to be so easy to split from the royal family. And also, she would have said, you know, once you're out, because that's what Prince Philip said to Diana. You know, you can't have it every which way. You can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out, which is exactly what the Queen said all those years later to Harry.
But the problem is the 1 foot in, 1 foot out saga. With Diana, arguably it was never going to work, because you can't totally split from something that your children belong to in a profound genetic way. It would have been almost impossible for her. And how undignified. There she was without her HRH title. Where would she have been put, you know, in the Abbey during the coronation? Would she have even got to the coronation? I think so. The idea of speculating where
I think that was too far ahead to even think about.
But
I mean, Charles may not have...
interesting is for me what the Crown threw up, because if we're asking now, where would the boys be today if Diana was here? The point is the boys would be profoundly different men. Would Harry have even married Meghan?
The Crown is fiction. The Crown is complete fiction. So I don't think we should judge what's happening today by what they're saying.
No, I think what
Crown.
Tessa's saying is it throws at the thought. I mean, a lot of Harry's pain that we witnessed and felt for him that he's talked about, has come from the loss of his mother, hasn't it?
Oh, very much so, yes. But he was only... Well, he was nearly 13 when his mother died. And he didn't really seem to feel the shock of it until much, much later. And so that's what he says anyway. And that's when he went into all the therapy. And now I gather that William's saying that, you know, he's a sort of creature of his therapy. But that's LA speak. Everyone talks like that.
Yeah, I mean, we did hear the other day that they had a phone call, that Harry had a phone call with his dad on his birthday. And that relationship has thawed slightly to some extent. I wonder what impact that might have on Harry and William reconnecting in some capacity.
Time is a healer, we all know that. And I think we also saw that Harry protected darling Papa a bit, didn't he, in Spare? You know, his main attacks were not levelled at his father. So I think that will become easier. And William, I think, will also come to understand that he has this incredible protection that his late mother didn't have at the end and that Harry doesn't have. The institution of monarchy, it does look after them. It defines their role. It defines who they are. It puts a crown on their head. And that is a huge advantage going forward. And I think he'll see that. And in the end, there will be, I think, more warmth, an olive branch offered from this side of the Atlantic to the other side. That's my hope.
I hope so, because you just have to look at those pictures, those lovely pictures of all of them together as a family when they were little, with their mum. The one that we had, I think it was at Alton Towers, and they're on the water, the log flume, and they're drenched in water. Do you see the joy? Because I've got two boys, similar sort of age gap between the two of them. I know how close my boys are at that age. And I just think, you know, there was so much love and joy between that family. The idea that they can't get that back, Ingrid, I think is that picture. I just love that picture.
It just looked, I remember that so vividly.
But then in his book, Harry says that he and William were always at loggerheads. He was always felt second best. And he said that a lot. So, but I still think that it'll be the king, it'll be Charles that it will bring them together eventually. He will fix it. If anyone can fix it, it'll be him. It won't be anyone else. It won't be them. It'll be their father.
And really interestingly, on that idea, just finally on them being close, The Crown, of course, these episodes was filmed just before Harry's book Spare came out. They depict William and Charles both being in Harry's room, breaking the terrible news of Diana's death. But we know from Harry's book Spare that the two boys received that horrific knock and managed it individually and separately in their respective bedrooms. So that idea of them always looking to each other for solace and friendship, it wasn't always the case.
Interesting. We're going to have to leave it there, though. Ingrid, Tessa, thank you very much for joining us this morning.